Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. I'm now back home from a holiday and this is the first video back. So in this week's video I'm going to be filming a mid-year book tag and also all the books I've read so far this year. So I'm going to start off with the book tag and answer some questions about what I've read this year, what sort of books I've been gravitating towards, what books I've been enjoying, things like that. They're going to be included in the first part of the video, and then I'm going to go through all of the 9 books I've read so far this year. So my reading goal this year, just so then we know whether we're on track, is to read, let me just find it, is to read 20 books, because last year I didn't meet that target. I don't know why. I think it was potentially just I was just really busy and just didn't pick up as many books. But yeah, so I'm aiming to get 20 books. I'm 45% of the way through, so I've read 9 books. So when I get to 10, I will have read half of it, and we're like more or less halfway through the year. So that's technically being on track, which is quite good for me because usually I'm not on track that often. I'm usually like books behind, but at the minute I'm only 1 book behind until I'm back on track. But yeah, so that is my reading goal on Storygraph. I use Storygraph now, I don't use Goodreads, just because it's just so much nicer to track on here, and also it gives you all of the insights and stuff at the end of the year, so you can sort of see what you've been reading. And yeah, that's basically why I use Storygraph now instead of Goodreads. But let's get into the book tag. I've got all the questions on TikTok because I kind of keep forgetting what the questions are, so let me just go to the TikTok. So the first question in the book tag is my favourite book so far this year. So I'm going to have a quick look at the 5-star reads that I had this year and see which one is technically my favourite. So I had 2 5-star reads. So I had, let me just get these out. So my 2 5-star reads this year are actually pretty different from one another. So the first one is Colleen Hoover's November 9. I really enjoyed this. I read it really quickly, and that's always a sign that I'm enjoying it, because I'm such a person that takes a while to read and get through a book. I feel like when I have a book that I'm really enjoying, I read through it pretty quickly. So yeah, that's basically that. I really enjoyed it. The story was easy to get through, and you know, it's pretty short, so yeah, and I really enjoyed this. This is one of my 5-star reads. I really felt like there wasn't much wrong with it in terms of like that I didn't enjoy. I know this is quite a controversial book in terms of like what goes on within it. Some people don't agree with it at all, and that obviously changes their opinion on the book, but I really enjoyed this actually. And yeah, so that was November 9, and this is basically about 2 people that meet, and they have 9, or is it 7? I think it's 7 November 9s that they go through. Oh, I keep dropping this book. And they basically meet up every November 9th to try and until they're able to like have a relationship, and then on the last couple of November 9th something quite tragic happens, and we find out a lot more about the intentions of the main male character, and that then obviously it's them getting through what's just been revealed, and seeing whether they can get over what's happened. So yeah, that's a basic like summary of November 9th. So it's Fallon and Ben, and it's their story. So yeah, that's November 9th. I also gave 5 stars to Letters from the Dead. I read this in my 24-hour readathon, so if you do want to have a look at that and have a full in-depth opinion from me, then do check it out. I'll try and remember to link it in the I button. And yeah, so Letters from the Dead, I really enjoyed it. Sort of like a thriller, a mystery. It's a little bit scary at times, because it has a lot of like phantoms and relations with the dead, and we talk about a lot of like quite scary stuff really, but it's basically about this photographer named Thomas Bexley. He's a forensic photographer, and he basically goes around taking pictures of crime scenes. And in the previous book, because this is actually the sequel to the first book, but I haven't read that because you can read it as standalone, so in the sequel he basically starts seeing ghosts from the crimes that he's sort of taking pictures of, and in this one it's a different one, and it's basically after him being involved as a forensic photographer in the Met Police, and basically it's about who has been going around kidnapping and essentially killing these people, and he's got to use his sort of tools and his knowledge to try and figure it out. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I really felt for Thomas, because it really sort of shows you how people can be manipulated, but also how people can like have potentially like psychological or personality problems, and yeah, it was really interesting. Really enjoyed this. It, like I say, it was a 5-star for me. And I'd probably say out of the two, I probably preferred this one, but they were both really good. So that is that question. And I'll just mention some honourable mentions. So another couple that I really enjoyed are How to Kill Your Family and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. They were definitely up there as like the most, like just under my favourites. But yeah, so that's that. The next question is my least favourite book. So my least favourite book, let me just get up my ratings, was probably Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore, but potentially also We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I rated this a 3.5 stars, and now I'm thinking I might have rated it, might change that to a 3-star for this. It wasn't that it was horrible, and same with Valentine. None of these books are like horrendous. If they are, then I just DNF them. I don't continue reading them. I never really often rate things lower than a 3-star, because typically if it's lower than a 3-star or like a 2.5, it just gets DNF'd. So that's why I don't have any that are really low, but these two were the books that were least rated on mine. Look at the size difference as well. Also, if anyone knows how to stop like books getting really slanted edges, I don't know if it's because I'm like bending them so much, but I hate how they've got now slanted edges, and I feel really bad about it. But yeah, so We Were Liars is basically about, again, it's sort of that psychological getting through sort of trauma, and there's a lot of things that happen in here, and it's basically about this girl who has been involved in quite a traumatic event, and she's got like loads of issues. She's also in a really privileged rich family, and it's sort of looking at like what is to be expected within a rich family. So yeah, the only thing I think that I didn't enjoy about this was there wasn't really much of a plot like that went on, and also I feel like it could have just been done in a lot more depth, but yeah, so that was my opinion of that. Valentine's slightly different because I did enjoy this book. Like I say, it's a 3-star, but the writing of it is really beautiful. There's so many nice quotes in here. I think my only problem is there wasn't much, again, there's not much of a plot, and I think maybe that's a recurring theme in books that I tend to not enjoy. It's that there's too much talking about what's happening rather than there actually being a plot and us finding out more. So yeah, there's some really nice stuff, and it talks a lot about things like girlhood, women, and like womanhood throughout the 1970s within Texas. And the way this is written is so nice because it sort of gives a perspective to every different kind of woman, whether you were quite wealthy, whether you were quite poor, whether you were just a typical woman, to children as well. So yeah, there's a lot. The only problem as well is, other than there's not being much of a plot, is there's a lot of perspectives. Now I understand that obviously it gives us a really true idea as to what was going on for women in 1970s Texas, but I feel like in order to make this better, I would have liked that there weren't as many point of views. But yeah, that is my reason for why this is my least rated book of the year so far. The next question is the prettiest book of this year so far. Let me have a look at these ones. I really like this one, Valentine. I really like that. I also really like Letters from the Dead. It's a bit dark, but I kind of like it. And finally, probably November 9th as well. I feel like this is really pretty with like the dust coming off the flowers. So yeah, they're probably the prettiest book covers. The next one is my longest book that I've read this year so far, so I'll just get up my my story graph again. So we've got 359, 433. So the longest one that I've read so far this year is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is like nearly 500 pages, but it definitely is like if you read this and you really enjoy it, it is definitely worth like the nearly 500 pages. But I do feel like it could have been shorter, but I do again really think that it's worth it. Like, I don't mind that it's this long. So yeah. So the next question is a book that didn't meet my expectations. So I think Valentine's one, because I was really hoping, because it's not that popular of a book, I was kind of hoping that it was just underrated and not that it was like necessarily bad. I mean, it's not bad. Like I said, the writing in this is beautiful, but I do feel like I was expecting better from this, maybe like a 4-star as well. The other book that I think really shocked me, because I was really hoping I'd enjoy it, and again, it's not because it was a bad book necessarily, but it is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I do feel like this could have been better. Don't get me wrong, I probably will carry on the series because it was really interesting and I did enjoy it, but I just feel like it could have been better. I was hoping this would be more like 4 to 5 stars, and it wasn't. It was only a 3.5 star for me. So that's another one that didn't meet my expectation. So the next question is obviously the opposite of one that didn't meet it, but the one that exceeded my expectations. And again, that is probably these two. So my 5-star reads, Letters from the Dead and November 9th. I'd heard, like I say, I heard very mixed things about this. Some people really loved this, some people hated it. So when I went into it, I wasn't expecting it to be a 5-star, especially because I don't know, just something about it just made me think it wasn't going to be a 5-star, but I actually really enjoyed it. It made me cry. And that's what is a good sign that it's probably going to be a high rating in my books. And this one as well, again, because it's a very underrated book. I don't hear many people talking about this. It's not popular on TikTok or anything, so this definitely exceeded my expectations. And I definitely think if you're into your thrillers and you also like historical fiction, definitely check out Letters from the Dead by Sam Hercombe. I really enjoyed this, so yeah, I definitely would recommend that. So they're all of the questions. Oh, actually, the other question is a book that I really wanted to read this year, which is Powerful by Lauren Roberts. I read Powerless in December last year, and I absolutely loved it. I'm looking forward to hearing Adina's story. I'm not expecting too much from it just because it's sort of like a side book, but I am really looking forward to reading it. And I'm also looking forward, if you were to ask me what my release I'm anticipating, it's definitely Reckless by Lauren Roberts, the same author as Powerful and Powerless, because it's the next book in the Powerless series. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Reckless. And yeah, they're all the mid-year book tag sort of questions. I'm now going to quickly flick through all of the books that I've read so far this year, so then you sort of have an idea what I've been reading this year. So these are all 9 books I read this year. They're all sort of like a red theme. I don't know why I'm reading so many red books, but I obviously read November 9th by Colleen Hoover, Letters from the Dead by Sam Hercombe. These are both 5-star reads. Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club. This was a 3.5-star read. Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore. This was a 3-star read. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This was a 4.5-star read. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This was a 3.5-star read. A Christmas Carol. This was just a classic, so it's just a 4-star for me. Classics often get 4 stars for me. So yeah, Christmas Carol. How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. I think I gave this a 4-star. And again, Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. This is the final book I read out of that pile, and this was a 4-star read. So yeah, so they're all of the books that I've read so far this year. And in terms of what books I will be reading next, so if you haven't seen my pack with me video, I talked about taking my Kindle and this book with me. I didn't actually manage to read those because I've only just finished Valentine yesterday. Like I say, it's very slow. Valentine didn't really hook me enough that I wanted to just keep reading it. So I think that's why I didn't get through it on my holiday. But the next book I wanted to read is Watership Down by Richard Adams. This is next on my TBR because it's the one I picked out of my jar, and also because I've really wanted to read this. I saw the film as a child quite a couple of times, and it'd be nice to see how the book differs from the film, and what my opinions of it are from a book perspective rather than from the film. And the other thing I am reading is on my Kindle, Page Tunes 7 Summers. So this is the book pick for the Book Babes UK book club, so I'm going to be reading this next on my Kindle as I don't have the physical copy. So that is the next book I'm going to be reading as well. So I'm going to sort of like read these kind of at the same time. I'm probably going to take this one to work to read with me just because it's easy to take. And then this one I'll probably be reading while I'm at home. But I do have another holiday coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'll probably be taking these two with me. So yeah, so that is that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give a like, comment, tell me what you've read so far this year, how far along in your book challenge, your reading challenge you're into. Are you behind? Are you ahead of track? Are you just where you're meant to be? And yeah, if you haven't, like I say, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in next week's video. Bye guys!